Hey all, we're back, we're in the kitchen. I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and if you are returning, thank you for coming back every day with us. We do appreciate it. Today, it's Wednesday, and we're going to cook up some rabbit. But I'm going to use Joanne's fancy new pressure cooker and see how it turns out with that. Alright, so yeah, something that I grew up eating a lot of, but I know a lot of people over here won't have had as much, but got this from the local butcher, and it's a whole frozen rabbit. So we're going to go ahead and throw that in the Ninja Foodi Max. I'll move you over there so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so we've got the Foodi Max open. I'm going to go ahead and get the rabbit open now. And this is probably about 95% thawed. There's still a little bit of ice on it, but that's fine. With the way that we're cooking it nice and slow, that won't prove a problem at all. Now then, I'm going to grab a fork, and I've got a couple of stock cubes, just some veg stock, that I'm going to mix up into some water. And that's then all going to go in here with the rabbit. Just stirring that up now. I really should have pre-done my stock, shouldn't I? That would have been like I was prepared or something. You know what? I'm not even going to bother breaking up most of that. It will break up in here. I'm going to grab another thing of water now. Now then, where is my fill line in this thing? Perils of using a new piece of equipment. Okay, yeah, I can fit in one more. And probably even one more. I did the smart thing and moved to a different container so that I can fill up to the fill line where I want to be there. It's not going to matter greatly that not all of this is covered. It's going to be able to move around a bit as it thaws. Now then, I'm also just going to add a bit of salt. Doesn't need too much, but this is just to kind of keep it going while it's cooking, imbue a bit of flavor to that stock we're making. Right, I'm going to close this up, and we're going to see if we can figure out how this thing works now. Alright, so I believe we're going to start with the power button. No, first we're going to start with flipping it on at the wall. Then the power button. Hello. Alright, so we flip it over to pressure, and that should lock. High pressure for... We basically want to cook this all the way off the bones. So we're actually going to set it for 45 minutes and see how that does. Start. Now then, this thing's going to take a few minutes to build up pressure, and once it has done, it'll start cooking. We'll be back in 45 minutes to see that it hasn't blown anything up. Alright, so the cooking's done, and we're releasing the pressure now. Once that's done, we'll see how it's turned out. Alright, let's see how it's turned out. I would say initially that looks pretty good. Feels quite tender. Yep, I think I'm going to be happy with that. Next step is going to be let it cool down. Then we're going to take the meat out, pull all the meat off the bones, and then we'll do some things to the broth before we add the meat and the dumplings back in. But for now, we'll leave that to cool a bit. Alright, so we've let this cool off now. I'm going to start grabbing some of these pieces out into the bowl here. Let most of that broth drain off of them as we do, because we definitely want to keep that. Apologies if you can hear YouTube in the background at all. Grandkids are home. Alright, so I think I've got most everything out of that broth now. Now then, what I'm going to do is grab another bowl and start pulling the bones out of this meat. Alright, so as you can see, we start pulling at this and it is just lifting straight off the bones. No problems at all. Now, I'm going to sit here and pick through all of this. I'm just kind of showing you how I'm doing it. I won't make you sit here and watch me do all of it, don't worry. I'll finish up this piece here, and then I'll cut the camera off, and I'll be back when I'm done. Alright, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so there we have our cooked and deboned rabbit meat. As you can see, it's just falling apart after that slow cooker. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside now, and we'll get the rest of the stuff ready, and we'll bring that back in a little bit. So, we're back over with our Ninja Foodi. We've still got that broth inside there. I'm just going to adjust this over to the slow cook setting. And I'm going to set it on low for, well, we can always stop it early. 6 hours is fine. So that's going to heat that broth up, keep it at a nice temperature for us. Now we're going to start adding a few things to it. I'm going to need a can opener. We're going to add some evaporated milk to start with. And I'm also going to go ahead and open up a can of condensed milk. You don't want to use two of either of these, because we do want some sweetness, but we don't want too much sweetness. So one of each is about right. Bearing in mind, of course, that the cans of the evaporator are much smaller cans, it balances out. Now, I have a can that is not cooperating with me, so I'll get a different can opener out, see if it does any better, and I'll be right back with you guys. Alright, I'm back. I just ended up punching holes in that one because the lid wouldn't come off properly. That one came off just fine. So that's going to take a minute to drain in. While it's doing so, grab a spatula, give all of this a nice stir. Come on, you. Right, that's got most of that out. Now then, we've already got salt in there from when we started. We've just added our condensed milks. I'm going to add a little, and I do mean a little, Cajun seasoning. And then I want to find my mixed herbs. I'm going to go ahead and give those a good stir. And then we're going to leave this for about 20 minutes before we do anything else with it. So I'll see you guys then. Hey y'all, just a quick pop in while I'm doing some editing on some videos here to remind you that if you are interested in the recipes that I am posting on the channel, I am now posting those to a Patreon. The link is below in the description. So for $1 a month, you can go on there, you can get all the recipes, you can chat with other people on there. I'll make sure that I do respond on there. Also, if you're interested in the tools that I'm using on the channel, those are also all down below. You can get those on Amazon, no extra cost to you, but it does mean that you are supporting the channel. And by all means, I do say often, barbecue's expensive, guys, so I do appreciate any and all support you guys can give. Thank you again, and I'll let you get back to the video now. Alright, now while we are leaving that for a bit, we're going to go ahead and get our dumplings ready. Now, our dumplings are not like the dumplings I've had in the UK. I think they're made fairly similar, but they don't turn out the same at all because of, well, how we treat them, I guess. So, flour, salt, and I'm going to then basically start stirring this up a bit. Obviously I won't do that while you guys are listening to me talk because it'll be loud. And then I'm going to mix in shortening until it thickens up into a dough. It's basically a biscuit dough, as in like a southern biscuit, not a cookie. But we're going to then use it a bit different from there. So I'll cut the sound and do that. I'll be back with you. Alright, so we've got that done, and as you can see, it's kind of a Play-Doh consistency, and that's basically where we want it to be. We'll need that in just a few minutes. Alright, we're back over at the foodie. Now then, I'm going to go ahead and add this meat back in. So that meat's just gone right back in where it was originally, just this time without the bones. And then we're going to start adding our dumplings. Now, some people will tell you to do all sorts of things with your dumplings. They'll say, oh, you need to roll them out and flatten them and cut them and this and that and the other, and who knows with them. I don't. That's not how I was raised up, so it's not. Now, I will tell you at the end of this about a shortcut that saves doing this step at all. But first I'm going to show you the way that I was raised up to do it. And that's called pinch dumplings. So I'm going to take some of that dough and just going to get it in my hand, and I'm just going to start pinching off bits, and into our mix they go. And yes, you will get some crumbles falling out all over the place, and there will be a little bit of a mess. That's part of cooking. Alright, I'm just going to take a second, and I'll be right back, guys. I've just got a grandkid saying hello. Alright, so while the camera was off, I did go ahead and throw a few more dumplings in here. And now that they are in, we're going to go ahead and leave this for another 30 to 45 minutes. And then I'll come check on it. I'll let you guys see when I come back. Alright, so I've let this cook off for a good while. And we now have rabbit and dumplings ready to go. Now, I mentioned before that our dumplings are very different. I'm just going to grab one of these. There you go. That's our dumplings. It's hot on my hand, by the way. But yeah. So there you go. They're kind of pillowy, soft, kind of chewy, gummy ball things. Hard to describe, but very nice tasting. Now, I did say to you at the beginning, though, that if you stuck towards the end, I'd give you a little trick. If you don't want to mess with making the dumplings, do the rabbit, do the sauce, all that the same, but instead of making up the dumplings and throwing them in, chop up some tortillas about like that and just throw them in. And yes, I'm mixing the two now, but so sue me. And give those about 10 minutes once you've stirred them in. And yes, they'll be a different shape. They won't be quite the same as the others, but they will be 95% the dumplings that we're looking for, with about 5% the effort. So I'm going to go ahead and get me a bite to eat. Alright, I've got me a lovely bowl of those now. And yeah, they don't look like much, but they taste like a lot. So that rabbit that's in there has basically just shredded itself down to strings of niceness. It's very hot because I don't wait for things, you know that. Slightly sweet, slightly creamy, slightly peppery. Lovely. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my tea, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.